Welcome to 101 on God 101. Our guest today is Christian Bevere, author of, her latest book is called Dear Future Husband, Trusting God with Your Love Story. And it's a prayer journal. Christian, welcome.
Julie, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to get to talk on this and faith and relationships.
Yes, pleasure is all mine. And I think there are a lot of people out there that need this book and want to hear all about it, how to use it. What made you write this book?
Oh, goodness, more like what made me not write this book. Like many of us, I went through my dating period filled with all of the good advice I think we hear along the way, whether it's in magazines or our friend's story, and just felt almost at a loss of God, why is my love story not looking like other people? Why do I feel all these conflictions between the marriage I want and my process of dating? And I went to college, graduated, spent all the money, all the time, all the heart longings to come back to my hometown and felt like I was starting at ground zero. But honestly, that was the most helpful thing for me because I saw the Lord really instill prayer as my belief system rather than just who are the good guys out there to date? How do I feel about myself? He healed things within me that I believe were causing me to date unwell. I wanted to be seen more than I wanted to be with someone, to be a partner, to be that, iron sharpening iron relationship. And that time truly blessed me of how I believe for a marriage, even believing that the promises God had spoken to me, He could still fulfill rather than what I was seeing. And so it transformed my singleness. It restructured what I was looking for in a partner and how I showed up to a relationship already a complete person in Christ rather than just hoping someone would, as Jerry Maguire says, complete me.
um, it starts and ends with prayer. Like, tell me about how prayer really had to help you clarify what it is you were looking for and create a path to finding that person, now your husband.
Yeah. It was reshaping the juvenile way I saw prayer, truthfully. I thought, you pray when you need something and God in his goodness answers, which is true, but there's so much more to that relationship and that equation than we see. The word tells us to be righteous, to be humble, to come and ask for faith. Hebrews 11 says, faith is the assurance of things we don't yet see. And that is conflicting with our day-to-day instantaneous lifestyle. Is like, we ask and we see, we work hard and we get it. And I'm a firstborn daughter. It's, you do the work and then the results follow. But this is something I couldn't achieve. It's something I couldn't deserve. And I really started to see prayer as this way of I should be vulnerable with God because he cares about my heart and those desires. And this is an opportunity to enter the throne room. We see this prayer in heaven is like a court system where we get to go before, the most important, the most powerful being there is. And so, one, he cares about that desires too, but two, how am I coming to that? Is it just give me this and I want it, or is it I get to partner with you in this desire? I get to sharpen myself. I get to show up as the bride of Christ is this beautiful analogy. What does my part in that look like, and how can I show up as the best version of myself and have actually not just a relationship, but a kingdom building, God honoring marriage?
You talk about in your book how we should pray specifically as we're looking for our future spouse. Now,
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend, she got so specific. She said, he can't wear white socks. She doesn't like the guys who pull the white socks up, and, we live in California, the shorts. And she got her prayers were answered. I'm not so sure you're talking exactly about that. Can you speak more on how to specifically pray for what and who you're looking for to complete you?
Absolutely. I think there is specificity that God brings to us because He knows how we're wired. He might say, Julie, you were woven in this way. Your partner would be really skilled in this area, or you will shine in this area. So I do believe He will direct us. But my caveat will be let him direct the specifications. I even have a whole chapter in the book that goes with it of future husband present prayers where we talk about that. Like, why do we have lists when we're dating? What within that is good and what should we hold loosely? I'm sure your friend didn't say that guy's not wearing white socks, so he's the one. It might have been a looser, there's things that come before that of what is his faith like? What is his character? I think at the end of the day, when we see 50% of divorces, even in the church, still, or marriages still end in divorce, that's a sobering reality that, if we don't do the pursuit, the evaluation well, we can enter into just how the world does marriage and dating. But there's actually this astounding statistic that I believe it's 0.07% of marriages where couples actively pray together end in separation. So just knowing, hey, prayer is this super glue that unites us beforehand to find each other and keeps us together, puts this emphasis of, hey, if the Lord tells me, maybe I've been dating the guys that, are go-getters, but he wants me to date someone that has a humble spirit, maybe someone that's more like a David, listen to that, because what the Lord joins together, no man can break.
What are the 3 F's that you say people should really use to find their future husband?
Yeah. Well, I even think going to that is, women, I think we have lost this art of realizing, my husband even says this, women are the prize. And look, women today, we are so talented. I even see you, Julie. You are beautiful, you are hardworking, you've achieved so much. But there's this essence of us where when it comes to dating, even if we're disappointed or it feels like it's taking longer, it is so tempting to say, well, maybe I'll go find him or I can put myself here. But the Bible clearly says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. And so I think within the tension that we may feel, and I know people may say, easy for you to say you met your husband in your 20s. I know I'm actually really not good at dating or waiting. Not good at dating anymore because I'm married, but I'm not good at waiting. So it's humorous to me that I get to write a book on this, but it's because I've just seen how the Lord shows up. But to those women that are still waiting, I would encourage you, have active faith. Like even in the waiting, have a faith that says, I'm going to speak life over the situation, not there's no one to date, but I haven't found the one yet. He's going to find me. And remember, this is a pursuit that you get to be this treasure on.
Yes, you talk about to be taking part in active waiting versus passive waiting. Like, what would be an example of passive waiting that we don't want to do, and what would be an example of active waiting that we
Yeah.
do want to do?
Right, right. We want to be active. Passive waiting is this idea of, God's just going to make it happen one day and all I have to do is wait. And it's a discouraging thing. There's not much activity within that. There's really not much faith, if I can be so bold to say, within that, because it's just a if it happens. But active waiting is partnering with God of saying, one, I'm going to speak life into my situation. I'm going to do anything you've called me to do. In my scenario, he really wanted to heal the way, even that I saw men. I saw men as a way to esteem something within me. Are they going to notice me? That means I'm pretty. Are they going to talk to me? That means I'm worthy of their time. Rather than there is this one guy out there for you where you need to be stern on the path I've created you for, which is of talents, which is of good works, which is of character development. And so active faith is partaking in the present, which is a gift. And I know it's so cliche, but there's no other time to really go all in on you. You get to be selfish. You get to say, God, what talents have you put in my heart? What things do you want to speak and whisper into me? And I think when we do that well, not only will we see, hey, maybe God calls you to a business, maybe God calls you to be on this adventure. And a lot of your people go on TV shows. Maybe he's called you to do something outlandish for that. My cousin had that experience. She went on, this journey that was like, I never planned to go here, but I'm single and I have this opportunity. And now she is, in a marriage that's so fulfilling. But I think there's just things when we're active and we're saying, God, I'm going to believe that you do good things, that your plans are higher than mine. And that there's something I'm waiting and walking toward actively rather than just sitting. I like to say in the book, don't sit on praying hands. Like, don't use this time that can develop you as just, okay, whenever he brings it, like, approach it with as much joy as we can. And how much of a testimony to the way that we live differently when we can approach delays with with gratitude rather than disappointment.
You also have exercises in each chapter of your book, which I love, and they're very different, and they're almost like prompts. Like I like the one that said, it's like a questionnaire, like, where was your first kiss? What was the first movie you went to go see? What was the first job or car?
Mhm.
What is your favorite exercise in this book?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you like that because when we were creating this, I just thought we really want to have something fun in this because this is fun. Falling in love, even in a Christian realm, should be fun and joyous. And you're going to look back on those memories. And my own experience, I had just a Bible and I'd write letters to my husband of sometimes I'm praying hard for you today in this area, and other times of I'm sitting at the beach and I can't wait to do this with you one day. And so there's fun things within our love story. Some of my favorite prompts are within there. There's even things where you're going to go in and take Polaroids, do things with his family. And so I think even seeing marriage is not just we get to plan the wedding and have the Pinterest board, which is so fun. Guilty, loved that. But it's generational, it's legacy. You're combining with a whole nother family, and for greater impact. I think I got the best in laws in the world, and they have just sharpened things within me, even to write. And so, you're writing these prayers and saying these prompts for this man out there, but also, for your future children, for his family, for the people that you'll impact together. And so it's just really neat to stretch our mindsets of not, man, I'm single on a Friday and I'm tempted to settle, but I am pioneering something and waiting for God's best and all that that brings with it.
You also have talked about signs of God that you have seen. Can you share any?
Yeah, this I think people can be divided on. And I'm not saying take any sign of, he'll be at this place and, he'll be wearing these clothes. Sometimes happens, but I think that really takes in tuning our hearts to God's prompting, which takes time with Him. I think when God was leading me in that season of singleness, intentional singleness, He refined me to be able to hear His voice over just my own desires. And through that, He did give me this pretty amazing dream where I saw my husband and it was our engagement. And I thought, wow, how kind of you, God, to show me a glimpse to, to keep me on the right path, to not settle, to not lose hope. But also, wow, that's an attractive, incredible man. I can't wait to meet him. He was tall, he was wearing glasses, but I couldn't just go to the next guy I saw wearing glasses and say, hey, you were my dream last night. You're my husband. I'd probably get a restraining order, but I could use that as, pairing that with my prayers and with wise counsel and, with peace. So once I met him, and then on our second date, he put on his glasses, it was kind of like putting puzzle pieces together, if you will. I was like, oh, you might be the one. And lo and behold, he is.
And how many years have you been married now?
We are on year 7 and 2 kids later. It's been the best season.
And after you found your partner, the prayer life doesn't end there. It's just getting going, I'm thinking.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because it is so tempting to when we're in those periods of crying out, whether it's, for a husband or some people, it's in a health journey or it's, after a loss. It's easier to come to God in the harder situations, and it's harder to come to Him when things are easier. And so, if anyone's watching this that is married or has had answered prayers, I would say that waiting in singleness prepared me for our waiting that we've gone through later in life. And it's taught me, it can't just be the highs and the lows. I need to stay reliant on Him. Even when he answers and even when he hasn't answered, because it's easier to say, God, bring me my husband, and then get him and go, yay, thank you. We have to stay reliant on him. One, to bless that man because he is such a gift. Marriage is a blessing. And then 2, to sustain your marriage and keep you together. That super glue, as I was saying.
Amen to that. Christian Bevere, thank you. The book is called Dear Future Husband, Trusting God with Your Love Story. It's a prayer journal, and it's available now wherever books are sold. Thank you and Godspeed.